Cool.
Okay. Did you have a particular map in this that you wanted to go over? Or any of them which were particularly close?
Probably just particularly close. The Kingsway one we got rolled on the second half because our sub got swapped around. For some reason, that was weird.
What other maps are there? Let's see.
Actually, I might just drop you a different VOD because I think the other VOD's better for this. It's literally from just another day, but it's of a different map.
Yeah, I mean, whatever.
If we went through it.
Whatever's better for you.
When I think about it. I'll just have to go find it again.
No one on the team's been set on fire.
Eh? No.
Well, because half your country's on fire.
Oh no! We're lucky. No one's had to be evacuated or anything yet.
That's good.
Somehow, I don't know how yet, but no one has. I think we all just live just around the apartments on fire. I think more or less. So we've more or less like.
More or less just like happened to avoid it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it hasn't affected as much with scrims. We haven't missed anything because of it. Yeah.
Yay. Basically.
And this is Orisa, so we play dive on 2 of the maps here because of how higher and dominated they usually are. And how much space is on them. And one of them we play brawl because it's
on university you play brawl, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty typical.
I think this is probably where I need the most improvement on this map because I'm not very good at this map usually. So,
okay.
And it was decently close, I think, because we were losing and winning. And
yeah, sure. Okay. Well, we can go through this then.
Yeah.
I think maybe to be honest.
The actual game.
Do you play Ryan's area?
No, I think we switch before we go out.
Okay.
Oh,
I guess I'll just skip.
I'm pretty sure we're just joking for the first half, yeah.
Oh, okay. It would be nice if I can.
Reaper's dog shit, not gonna lie.
We'll just start it, okay? We'll just start it.
Okay, so we do play May Reaper with Orisa, Ryan, and Bap Lucio, right?
As well. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So the biggest thing to playing Orisa in general in this meta is being an expert at playing Baptiste. And that's like the most retarded thing, but it's absolutely the key to playing Orisa. If you know how Baptiste wants to play, how he wants to position his lamps, you're going to be really good at Orisa. Because it's essentially about getting value from your lamps, right? Like, lamp is completely broken. The more lamp spots you know as Orisa, the better you're going to be. Although they're, indirectly related to you. But
yeah.
And so there's a lot of funky lamp spots on this point, and that's kind of why I mention it.
Gonna hold left gauge, okay?
Cool.
I'm playing aggressive with walls.
Cool. Sliding in your bitch's DMs.
So this stuff will be like kind of macro related because essentially you're pathing in general. So this pathing here at the start is great, right? Essentially you want to bait them into this room, and then you can just put your lamp up in this corner, right? Like you just throw it over here.
Oh yeah.
Then it's up in the corner, and then you can just hold the choke. And if you can wall anyone into the room, then you're great. Okay, well, this works, right? Except it's the 2 people that you really didn't want to be walled in the room. And actually, in this particular situation, so this was kind of you as well, right? Like, I think you go too hard too early, right? You want them to come into this room.
Yeah.
So
I should be playing. I should be playing more passive. So
absolutely right.
Walk in.
Yeah. So chill this doorway, right? You've got hard cover in this doorway. If you play there, wait for them to walk in and then commit onto them. If they don't walk in, then you've got another lamp spot like just outside, which we can talk about when we get to it. But essentially, you want them to come in, right? It doesn't matter if 6 people come in fact, so long as they can't walk back out the room, because you have a good lamp spot, they don't, right? Because your lamp can basically be above them. It's way better for you because it's much harder for them to deal with this lamp. Whereas whatever they do, wherever their lamp is, it's easy for you guys to deal with it. On top of that, you notice how you shield here? You shield as if you want your Reinhardt to be stood in this doorway, right? you want your shield to be set up like this. Reinhardt stood right here, and then he's able to cleave in front of him like this, right? If your shield's too far forwards, then the opponents can be between him and the shield, right? So, like you've got now, where your shield's forwards, your Ryan's going to be stood here, and then an opponent could be stood in this space, right? You don't want there to be space for an opponent to stand in between your Reinhardt and the shield if you want to get maximum value from it. So at this point, you really want to be walking backwards. I don't know, actually, you guys didn't use Immo, so you're probably okay to still play in this choke. The Immo's good. Oh, Maywall fucks it up. It's kind of unfortunate.
Run. You clean it up. Clean it up. Kill mate, drop the wall.
Larry. We hold heal. Oh god, don't go further, you're gonna go wall.
That was unfortunate.
Kill mate, drop the wall.
Larry. We hold heal. Oh god, don't go further.
It's just as simple as not being aware of when their respawns are, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna go wall.
What?
There's kind of nothing more to it than that. You went around a corner with no cooldowns and weren't aware that their respawns were going to be that fast. Because they died quite early, right? They died a lot earlier than those other guys.
We're gonna look for a suck window
Just being aware.
and then clean up with
Yeah.
your rookie if you need it, okay?
I mean, getting those stagger kills would have been nice, but it's
Backfield, so let's keep him mortality for that.
yeah, the timing has to be way faster than that, right?
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Let's go. Walk up in here. I'm going left.
Okay, let's look for a flashback.
Stock first and then square, okay?
Yeah.
Go, do it main. Let's do it main. Okay.
Yeah, I got confused.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Like, really badly.
Let's do main.
Hmm. Well, it's worth thinking about their setup here, right? So, if you have people come from this direction, and people come from the direction that you did, that's probably ideal. Simply because, I'll go back. Because of the lamp spots, right? So,
Go, do it main.
like I said, playing Orisa is all about knowing the lamp spots. So there's actually a lamp spot just in this corner here. And there's actually like a kind of wall there. And essentially it LOSs it from anyone that's like behind this line on the point.
Wow, okay.
It's you see like this cover here. They can do exactly the same thing on the other side of the point as well. They can put like the lamp in this little corner here because this thing pokes out, right, like you've got here. But it's the same on both sides of the point. Hence, if you can get people coming in this way and people coming the way that you did, you can then always stabilize on this corner by putting your lamp here.
Okay.
Hence, but if you don't have this pressure here, then you don't already have control of this, right? So, hence why it, in my opinion, is worth making this split happen.
Yeah,
and using the window here is fine, right? Because that's going to force them backwards anyway. That's great, and that's just going to allow you to take the space.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter actually. I guess if you don't split, it doesn't matter, but you don't want to get Maywalled.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I just screwed up, so I moved.
Yeah.
Beat up the main, pussy, beat up the main.
That's something to learn.
Freezing May.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's just all about the lamp spots, but a lot of it's kind of like macro, right? So you guys need to figure out where the lamp spots are and where your whole team wants to play.
I'm gonna go for a flank shadow.
Actually,
okay.
No, can't. It's fucking quick play.
Oh.
What a fuck.
This flank shatter is also really risky. It's way better if they play in here. Just for future reference.
They're hosting.
Because it's way easier for them to scout that one, right? Like, they can scout that really easily.
Yeah.
They're much less likely to scout the other one.
Oh, they know. I'm walking out.
So, at this point, we're giving up the space. You need someone to stabilize. A lot of people make the mistake of playing up against these walls when they can still kind of get LOS on you. But the lamp spots aren't great on these walls, right? Simply because Lucio can go up here and shoot the lamp out, right? Whereas if you go to... Oh, sorry, I'm just going to go way back. if you go back to here, right?
Oh yeah.
They can't shoot your lamp spot as easily because they have to commit so much further. You're going to see the Lucio doing it, right?
Well. Yeah,
Sorry.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, it's still hard for them to get the
flank you as
flank.
well,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
flanking
it's going to take them a
mostly,
million years to do it anyway. On top of that, one of the key features at this point, right, is simply that hole in the middle. And if you're playing at the front, you aren't utilizing that, right? You can't pull them into it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So playing further back on the point allows you to both pull people into the pit and have slightly better land spots.
Oh, they know. I'm walking out. Can you stop? Stack him.
I did it.
Rape it right mid. Can you guys
They have no ammo.
Oh, it's behind you. You good.
What's me?
I'm going outside. He's just feeding on me. He's just feeding on me.
Yeah, so you notice how you intuitively go to this cover as well now, right? Because you know to play around hard cover anyway. But it's definitely it's a really, really good one to be on. It's good that you looked for that as well.
Oh my god, I fucked up. Oh, okay. Stabilize.
They're gonna have a close enough shot in Rape Road.
Alright, let's look for...
Wait, do you actually have no crosshair?
No, wait.
let's look for
Honestly,
Oh, you
I
do?
can't see it. I've got
It's
a dot.
it's
just
fucking tiny, dude. Oh, okay.
There, fire strike and then clean up with 3 after that, okay?
Cool.
Aim for bat.
I don't have fire strike for 4 seconds.
I'm just gonna fucking rape all saves.
I have.
The artifacts.
Alright, let's go.
W. Help boy. Drop ball.
How does anyone get away with a reroll like that? I just they had all their cooldowns, right? If you're walking into a team with all of their cooldowns, generally any ultimate ability is not going to work out, especially one that involves you standing in the middle of their team. But there you go.
Reporting on my.
Okay. Well, they make the trade happen.
Raypoint. Dead. All the ball. Kill bat first. No one else, but besides bat. I'm here.
I'm dead.
Take tail here.
I lost five. There's only 2.
Take tail.
Come back. What
Get out.
are they?
There really isn't much that you, as an individual, could have done differently here, though.
Not bad.
Alright, let's play safe. Let's look for a melee shadow, like while we're playing safe, and then we'll suck Blizzard, okay?
I don't have bat, by the way. Use it.
Care Blizzard. Care that Blizzard.
I'm pushing
The mate's looking for wall,
Yeah. Alright, let's
Wait, they
just
switched to McCree to recontest?
What up, Orisa? Freezing Orisa.
Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. There was a reason for that. I can't remember why I did it.
Kill Ryan.
Lost five.
Oh no, he switched McCree because we switched him. That's right. That was dumb.
The mate's looking for wall.
Sorry, I just want to watch this fight again.
Alright, let's just farm a Blizzard.
He's not
What up, Orisa? What up, Orisa? Freezing Orisa.
What? Kill Ryan.
Lost five. We lost 3.
The only problem with you kind of peeling off for this Rhine here is that you are then no longer, like, making space for your team, right? You're out here on a one-on-one with a Rhine that's walking away. Like, if he's walking away, it's a 5v6, right? He's essentially dead. He might as well be dead.
Yeah.
For all of that time he's taking that rotation.
Lost five. We lost 3. Reset. What are they?
I think we said it. They're gonna shadow.
It's not that big of a deal, but it's something that I'm seeing like a lot where Orisas are just like chasing people. Because it's so easy to do so, right? You're literally invincible. But you want to be invincible in front of your team. You don't want to be invincible chasing down their backline.
Speed right back.
What's up, Blizzard, okay?
Let's go.
That's rude.
Maze left. You should suck the main. Look at his tanks.
Stop.
What was the point of that pull?
Maze left. You should suck the main. Look at his tanks.
What's the objective with this pull?
Try to pull them together for male, but it didn't exactly work.
Oh,
It was
okay. Sorry.
impatient.
Let's go.
I didn't realize we had
Maze
mail.
left. You should suck the main. Look at his tanks.
Those are like the two people you really don't really give a shit about pulling either. Mainly because one has charge and the other one has
And the other one
fortify.
is fortify.
Yeah.
Should have tried to pull the guys with high ground and back.
Yeah, 100%. And you could have been more patient about it, right? Because if they're doing they've recognized that you've got Mei ult, right? That's why they're playing like this.
Mhm.
So you have to play to the advantage that you have now, right? That they've split up, so they can't peel for each other as effectively. We don't even need Mei ult here, right?
Yeah, you can just walk on the Reinhardt probably.
If you just wall behind this Reinhardt and walk on him, there's nothing you can do, right?
You
Exactly.
do. Yeah.
Like you just put the wall here, walk onto the Reinhardt, freeze him. They are going to have a really hard time, a much harder time following up, and especially since all 6 of you could just speed through the choke, right?
Yes.
Wait, hold hard.
But we don't capitalize on that mistake,
Can you focus Ryan down?
We windowed.
No.
and we windowed and bongoed, which is not good,
Hard.
Let's go.
right? Because damage amp doesn't stack.
Bunker.
Yeah.
Can you focus Ryan down?
No. Run one. Here, Shadow. Look at Ryan.
I can't.
Damn remote.
Any heals? Watch it.
Wait, holding are they?
Try to kill
Man,
him.
man.
Maze one.
May.
Korea, decent side. I'm second.
Oh my god.
Kill those guys on the right. Go right. Look at the guys on the right.
Great.
Me. Kill these guys on the right.
Going back with Tracer.
Hmm.
Here, Shadow.
So, maybe we don't need to watch this whole fight again. The whole issue with this fight in general is this window is not decisive enough at all, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you bring your pacing up even more, they're not gonna be able to do anything, right? If it's just like Ryan's out of position, right? That should mean like we're going as 6 on this guy instantaneously, right? There should be no hesitation. If we have all our cooldowns, right? This fight has just started. Everyone has everything. Like it, there should be nothing. There should be nothing to stop you doing this. It should be right. We path around this corner and we just like speed straight onto point, right?
Suck the main. Look at this
Like
guy.
Ryan's out of position and we just walk straight on them. So your shield's not deep enough as to that end, right?
Obviously, yeah.
Let's go. Bunker.
The placement of the bongo
Shield,
isn't
down.
ideal, and the fact that we stack the 2 ults is bad, right?
Run one. Here, Shadow. Look at Ryan.
I can't.
Damn remote.
Any heals?
But when they're so split like this, we could just walk on someone, right?
Run one. Here, Shadow.
They can't peel for each other. If 6 of you walk onto one target, there's nothing they can do.
Any heals? Watch it.
Like this McCree, right? If we'd done that at the start with a Reinhardt,
Maze one.
May.
Korea, decent side. I'm second.
Oh my god.
Kill those guys on the right. Go right. Look at the guys on the right. Me. Kill these guys.
but basically by the time we get there, half your team are dead, right? So you don't have any
Dead,
damage,
yeah.
and you just die to them.
Back with Tracer.
You need to calm that. If my Doomfist and my Lucio are going right and no one's coming it, that's a Siebes.
What's that?
Doesn't matter if you can't. Yeah, especially if you can't escape. You fucking.
No, I
Wait, what'd you say?
to escape.
So the whole issue was just that you simply weren't decisive enough as a team, right, to engage there.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I mean, Messi Ana, sorry. Ana's good heal. I'm all about to
In fact, since we're going to be moving on to another comp, let's write down what we've talked about so far, because it's really important that we stay focused. Key points.
No, I've been writing stuff down.
Oh, have you? Okay, nice. You can tell me what we've talked about then.
You want to know how Batiste wants to play?
So, playing around lamp
wants to play
spots.
slams. He wants to play, yeah.
Lamps.
I
yeah.
should be more aware of spawns.
Aware of spawn timings.
You can push split to control line of sight and lamp spots as well. So you can control the enemy's lamp spots using where you're positioned.
Split push to control lamp LOS. Yeah. Anything else?
I
I
had
had
in Brawl try to recognize people. No, be more decisive. Yeah.
more
there you go.
decisive. Exactly. That was exactly the words I was looking. More decisive. Spell decisive. Got them written. I'll post them into our chat once we've done the other 2.
Probably back, actually. Alright, we'll do initiations on Bread, sorry. And we'll kill them. Justice, please. Big balls.
Don't feed on cooldown, please.
Can we have
What?
our- can we
Is
have
your ball that bad? Is this
Oh.
your ball's really terrible usually, and they are concerned that your ball's going to be really bad?
That and he does this all the time.
Okay.
I'm used to it. No, but I had the scrim recent, the scrim before this scrim. I did more or less feed on cooldown.
Okay.
So it's more like recent memory.
Mercy and
Because I did definitely feed on cooldown this
Yeah,
scrim
that's
before.
left side. They're playing dive, I think.
And I did feed on cooldown a bit in this scrim.
We don't have an
Inside,
inside,
inside, McCree,
They have Bap.
Go behind. We don't have Bap ready.
They have Orisa McCree.
They have a McCree top right. They have a McCree top right.
Follow McCree.
Mercy, mercy,
I'm diving top right. I'm diving top right. I'm going.
Fucking dead.
So is it Melee one that usually calls the dive? Like he's the one that usually calls the execution of the dive, or is it you?
Now it usually is me.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a bit ago, so it's a bit ragtag because we only just started. Well, we only just started figuring out how we're gonna make the calls.
Yeah. So it should definitely be you, right? Because essentially the timing of it is way more dictated by how you've moved your movement, your engage timings.
Yeah.
They're way less controllable, right? So it's way easier for anyone else to follow up on your calls.
I'm diving top right. I'm going.
So essentially the call should be info, right? Like someone's here, and you're like, okay, I'm going on blah blah blah, going 3, 2, 1, blah, right?
Yeah.
Dead.
So in this case, I'm going on Baptiste High Ground, going 3, 2, 1, Bap, right?
Cree1, Carfish.
I can't get him.
And these kind of calls are really important, right? Info calls on ball are everything. So like I'm booping. Orisa's down, Orisa's alone on point, right? Like, and really bring that urgency up because there's now Orisa isolated on point, right? Or alternatively, McCree's alone on high ground, right? Orisa's booped down, McCree's alone on high ground, depending on which target you want to prioritize.
Cool.
Focus the target.
I'm on McCree. McCree low. McCree drop.
Kevin's got flashbang.
I'm on Cree. Cree back left. Cree their stairs. You know, Cree on Mega now. I guess we kind of lost this fight anyway.
Get off Baptiste.
Yeah.
We need to actually dodge.
And you notice how we don't ever get on a target together either, like throughout this whole fight. So first point to dive, right, set up. You've got to set up. Everyone's got to be set up ready to go onto a target. So it's like, I'm going to go on Baptiste on high ground. Everyone ready? And as long as you get, so long as no one says, no, I can't, then you're cool, right? So I guess, again, this kind of comes back to the macro and like, how do you guys want to set up? Where do you want to set up to execute onto people? How do you think people are usually going to path, right? Because if you factor that all into a plan, then you could think, okay, well, people usually go inside because they know we play dive, and therefore we're going to path this way. That allows us to set up to go on high ground for the first fight, right? So having some forethought as to how you're going to roll out in the first place so that everyone's able to execute onto either this location or this location. Those are like those two dive locations that we could be going for, right? And you can decide this however you want, right? Like the entrance to point, going on the high ground, the entrance to point from main, like any of those are possible, you know? You just have to have setups kind of for all of them. You don't necessarily have to flesh it out that much, but just so everyone knows, you're playing in this general space, and if we're going to go on this target, everyone can get onto it.
All of us.
You need to dive that crate. Like, at least outside of
McCree.
pressure. Because I can't do anything.
Yeah, let's have McCree then.
He shows me, I get one
Who cares if he
Yeah,
flashes
we
you?
know.
So essentially we're going to look for the Kree now, right?
Wait, go right. Don't dive through main. Go right. Swing through the fucking staircase, dude.
They'll all just swing top right, okay? Ready? I'm going top right in 3, 2, 1. Pushing.
McCree's back right. He's on you.
Yeah,
McCree half. McCree one. McCree dead.
I got new.
I'm dead. Messi's one.
Far one.
Messi's one. See Messi?
Messi low,
Look to your
Messi
left.
low, Messi low.
Left side.
I'm nearly back.
Messi's resing.
Can't stop the res.
There is Bap.
That was
Is
not
this still winnable?
a good swing.
Yes. If we told target, it should be winnable.
Orisa in our goals.
I'm pushing back high ground.
Orisa in our aim. Oh my god, they directed.
I got 3, you're back.
Right, let's fight. There's only like 2 of you.
I got both DPS swords, back out.
Okay, let's dive with.
Should we watch this fight again? Because
Scuffed.
it's really scuffed. Like it's really, really scuffed.
Really scuffed, yeah.
So I'm just going to go like way back to the start.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Pushing.
So first of all, okay. I mean, I'm not entirely sold on this engage angle. Simply because they were all looking at you. Generally not great. But they did all look at your Winston when the jump happened, so it's not so bad. And this engage was actually really good, right?
McCree's back right, he's on you.
Yeah,
McCree half, McCree one.
And we get Kree. So what should happen at this point?
We should probably end up going on Baptiste, or we should fall back because we lost our Tracer and our main source of damage at that exact. Oh, that's hard, I
So
don't know.
if you no longer have the consistent damage that allows you to keep on fighting, what should we do?
Peel back.
Peel back, right? Just reset, right? Just chill for a second. Soft reset. It doesn't have to be a hard reset, right? But everyone, you only have burst damage now, so any of your engages have to be like, okay, we're going on this target. We're going 3, 2, 1, go, and your monkey jump has to hit. Your boot, your slam has to hit, right? Then they all have to hit simultaneously because you have to burst that target down instantly because you don't have sustained damage anymore.
The consistent sustained damage. We still have pharmacy somewhere, but
you do. I have no idea where your pharmacy is.
I have no idea where they are. So.
Looking to engage this location, it would have made a lot of sense for them to come around the outside, right?
Yeah.
Around that way. But regardless, right? Soft reset, right? And this is how you want to execute dive anyway. It should be stage, right? Look to force them into a location you can dive, execute the dive, kill the target, get out.
Get out, yeah.
I'm dead. Messi's one.
Because you don't have sustained damage, and they do, right?
Messi's one. See Messi?
You don't have anywhere near as much sustained damage as they do.
I'm nearly back.
Messi's resing.
Especially not if you're Pharah. Especially if your Pharah's basically not involved in the fight.
Yes. If we toll a target, it should be winnable.
Orisa.
On top of that, Orisa should never be the target call, pretty much in dive, right?
Yeah. I didn't. That's why I didn't call it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I realize that's not you, but in which case, say, no, go back on high ground. Go on back on high ground.
No, go back on my Baptiste.
Yeah, or something like that. Like not Orisa. Like, go on Bap's alone on high ground, whatever, and
be more urgent and be more loud.
And be and just exactly right.
Orisa, no aim. Oh my god, they directed.
I got 3 good back.
Alright, let's fight. There's only like 2 of you.
I got both DPS swords, back out.
Okay, let's dive with mines and look for a brush to fight.
Oh, the worst grapple of my life.
Barrage, and they're gonna have high noon, so Melon maybe keep a shield.
What happened to my audio?
In here, isn't it?
Okay, so we just need to reset at this point, right?
Can we stage, please? Fuck me.
I'm ready for a dive on McCree.
I'm just getting poked. Can we go soon?
You probably should have taken that mega.
I'm diving onto high ground in like 3, 2.
Ah, yeah, get armor.
Because there's. Okay. Did we even plan this fight? Like, was there an ultra plan?
Only like 2 of you.
I got both DPS.
Probably because it.
Both DPS cells are Bapple,
Let's
okay.
dive with mines and look for a brush to fight. Okay, let's dive with mines and look for a brush to fight.
Okay, dive with mines for our barrage with.
Barrage, and they're gonna have high noon, so Melon maybe keep a shield.
What happened to my audio?
In here, isn't it?
So during this time, you could be flanking, right? You could be setting up on that flank that you were doing, rather than waiting, like wasting all this time. You could have been set up already on this flank. There's no way for them to punish you, right? Unless you make a really big mistake. Yeah, so it's well worth setting up early.
Can we stage, please? Fuck me.
I'm ready for a dive on McCree.
I'm just getting poked. Can we go soon?
I'm diving onto high ground in like 3, 2, 1.
Both staying high ground.
Oh,
okay.
McCree, fuck.
McCree one.
McCree down. Mines.
I'm gonna die.
So that was nice. And actually, you know what? When you guys set up, your engages are really good. But that's kind of, I think that's where your knowledge of dive ends, right? It's like, oh yeah, we call a target and we dive them and they die. And then you're 5v6, right? And the fight's still very winnable for them.
Very winnable for them.
So probably want to talk about, okay guys, what do we do after we've killed that first target? You know, because we're too, like, after we've used our mobility, we're not in a great spot, right? Because they have a shitload of damage too.
Look, in front of you, support!
And especially like prioritizing the correct targets after you've executed on your first dive target, right?
I can't get that McCree really easily. I'll try.
Kuno, flashbang,
Don't
Kuno,
don't
flashbang.
go. Oh,
He's
I
dead.
can see that coming.
I got it.
I can't.
Ball low, ball one, ball
Okay, he's
one.
one.
Yeah.
He's one. He's one.
Ball so low. Pharaoh. Scout. Alright, what do they have?
Cool. They got Bongo, Bap, Mines.
What's
Bongo
this?
point.
Testing. Focus Rissa.
Oh my god, I got punched.
Still visible. Kill Rissa. Focus Rissa.
Rissa. Don't be afraid to.
That was
I got punched.
Still visible. Kill Rissa. Focus Rissa.
Rissa. Don't be afraid
Kill
to.
Rissa.
I wanted a ground pound of the stairwell, but I messed up on that first time.
I see.
Baptiste back left.
Nice for cap.
We can dive those guys, Brett. Go. We can go.
Yeah.
Back in now, why?
Alright, what do they have?
Dying on cooldown.
They got Bap, they got Mines.
I heal.
That's mine. Okay, let's go in for a nano brush.
Can we reset and stage? We're in this one.
Brett will be waiting for you. Go in on Hanzo.
That resin?
You guys don't have a ball. We have ults.
What the fuck? Can I have some heals? I don't know.
I'm just trying to push him main. I want to push his Hanzo. He's on close to mega room. Close.
We look
right.
Hanzo. Look
Yeah,
Hanzo main. Look
ready,
Hanzo
ready.
main.
Pushing Hanzo. Hanzo's up. He's lamp.
That was pretty.
Ball's coming in now.
This is the kind of thing I mean about decisiveness, right? Like capitalizing on them doing something stupid.
Ball off.
I'm diving on that Messi. Go see Messi. Oh,
Yeah, I'm going on.
fucking move to Kingdom Come.
Alright, come back a little bit. Come back. Okay, let's dive with Nano Pharaoh and Valk. at the same
Why?
time.
We won the fight. It's the point of diving right now. We won the fight.
Okay,
Cody,
we'll
you lagged out?
Nano Pharaoh and we'll go in with Valk. Okay.
Cody,
Nano
you
Winston,
lagged out?
Nano Winston.
Nano, yeah.
Cody, are
Nano
you
Winston.
lagged out?
Go in with Valk.
Sorry, I wanted to pause.
Cody.
Oh, okay, I can't pause fast enough. I just wanted to see what they're because they changed their comp.
Okay,
Cody,
we'll Nano Pharaoh and we'll go in with Valk. Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, they got ball now. Wait, why? No, yeah, they do have ball. This was
So we can dive on any one of these three guys, right? So we're just looking for one of them.
Yeah.
Bab's going to be really far back. One of these two is probably going to do something stupid, like trying to get on flank. So worth watching out for that.
Cody, are you lagged
Nano
out?
Nano Winston.
Nano, yeah.
Cody, are
Nano
you
Winston.
lagged out?
Okay.
Pause. How?
Oh, this is dumb. I remember this. Oh.
How long does this pause for?
Well, I think.
Okay.
I don't know how long it lasts. I cannot remember.
Oh, okay, not that long.
Oh, you missed. Not that long.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
here we go.
I didn't side.
No, they're not.
Was this good?
I don't know. I want to say I split them,
I didn't side.
but I'm not sure. I think most of them are through. I split the McCree off from the rest of his team,
Oh, Emo, then Baptiste.
and I forced him to stay there, I guess. I know.
Yeah, it's not that bad. It does zone the McCree, you're right.
I'm
I got
I think the problem is it only zones the McCree, and he is able to just like stand there and shoot, right?
Nice melee.
Yeah, I would have cornered the Baptiste in the same situation, almost regardless, I think.
You should have been able to, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
No, okay, what do they have?
They're gonna have Dragon next fight.
Okay, let's go bread initiation with boss bomb. Mally, can you dive first so they can flashbang you?
Sick.
Alright, Mally dives first here, then bread, okay?
If they go bottom, I'm gonna wait. They're bottom right. You ready? You
Yeah,
guys ready?
yeah.
You guys ready?
Go.
I'm going in 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going?
Come on, Baptiste one. Emo.
I got it, they have their beat.
I'm dead.
It's okay.
I'm on ball.
Hanzo actually cry.
It's just tanks. Focus Rissa, you guys see the Rissa, look at Rissa.
Sorry. I want to go back and watch this.
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Go.
I'm going in 3, 2, 1, go.
What's going?
Why didn't we have the info?
Okay.
If they go bottom, I'm gonna wait. They're bottom right. You ready? You guys ready?
Yeah.
You guys ready?
Go.
I'm going in 3, 2, 1, go.
Because it takes you a.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
I was like,
your monkey goes in on his own, right? Like they. So it's two things. I guess they should have waited for you as well, right? But you could have scouted this beforehand, right? If you'd stood main
Yeah.
or towards main, so you could see out, then you can provide so much scouting information. As could your tracer. If your tracer was like set up to look for a flank, your tracer could already be coming through the inside as well, right behind them. But this is what I mean about talking about like what positions people control and talking about where people are able to go, so that you've always got scouting information, and then if you once you know their relevant position that they're going to, then everyone can rotate like for your setup to dive wherever they're gonna go, right? Because info is really important. This roll was not great, right? You really wanted to slam onto them.
I'm on ball.
Yeah.
Hanzo actually cry. It's just tanks, it's just tanks, it's just tanks. Focus Orisa, you guys see the Orisa, look at Orisa. And then Hanzo, turn around, look at Hanzo.
Hanzo one, Hanzo one.
And then Baptiste, it's just ball, ball, right side.
Ball one.
Soldiers back soon. Red, dive.
Ball one.
Kill ball. Find soldier.
Is it more on point?
Soldiers there.
Let's go. Good job. The purpose of Mally going in there is kind of to feed, and then to be able to.
I don't understand what you said. Like you said, I'm
Okay, that wasn't too bad.
That's a funny looking fire then for someone who knows. Looks like a 6'8" black man.
Everyone listen to Red's comments. That's important. Everyone scout as well. If you can have information, so.
They're going right side. They're going dive. It looks like dive. I saw a monkey.
No, they
Okay.
go Zen, they go
McCree
Zen
bottom
maps,
left. McCree bottom left.
Great bomb left.
McCree half.
They're trying to rotate left and you're
Just
diving
wait.
rotation.
No, they're Orisa. They're gonna try to attack
Diving
us.
in 3,
We
2,
can dive here, we can
1,
dive here.
going. That's
Okay,
up.
let's go. Fuck.
One of the really good boops here is if you boop through here, you boop them off the edge of the
Yeah.
map, which is quite nice.
Okay, cool.
Especially if you get a double boop. They just go flying. It's pretty
I'm
nasty.
still trying to figure this out. I've seen them before, but I just...
There's got to be a YouTube video on how to do it well.
That
It's-
would be a good idea.
My ball mechanics are not ideal, so I can't tell you how to do it because I don't actually
Yeah,
know.
I'll Google it. I'll YouTube it later.
But I've seen people execute it a lot.
Diving in 3, 2,
Uh,
1, going.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot too.
And like this exact, like coming through here where your tracer is and just booping, double booping off the map, it's really nice.
Okay. Immortality. I'm dead.
More one.
Wow. That is.
The Zen's one.
Oh, that boop! If you hadn't fucked that
Yeah,
up,
I know.
that
If I
would've
got
been
round
really
the corner,
nice.
it would have been big.
Who we on? Monkey
Yeah.
dead.
One.
I still got
Who we
monkey.
on? You guys see that Zen? Bottom left. Look bottom left. Kill that Zen. He's by himself. Just kill the Zen.
Any kills? Trace any kills?
Just gonna really quickly reply to a message. Sorry.
No worries. No worries.
Alright, we can do another dive.
McCree.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dive top soon.
Yeah, money.
I'm diving now.
I'm flying forward.
McCree half. McCree one.
So we kind of discussed this about them, about you calling the execution of this dive, right?
I'm diving now.
Because you weren't ready for this at all,
McCree half.
and you want your jump and your pile drive to land at the same time.
To land at the same time.
I got you.
I'm reloading. Just try to
Tap one.
I got peel.
Winston one.
Winston 1, super killable. 1 HP.
I'm both grabs talking red rally.
Kill the Orisa.
Reza. Okay, what do they have?
Tracer's on point. Kill Tracer. Tracer right side.
Let's just trace them. What do they have?
They got Bap Crayot.
another.
Let's mine's initiation with the Nenner Winston, and we'll look for a pulse bomb.
I'm just gonna go in the rotate.
Running a
Way in the
pharmacy.
rotation.
Red, don't die
Right.
from the same spot I'm diving from. Seeps.
Running
Alright,
pumps
so-
in.
That's a really fair point, though, right? Don't dive from the
Yeah.
same spot. Everyone stood here, right? You want to have like your tracer coming around here. You can be coming from main. Your Pharaoh's above them, and your monkeys from high ground, right? Like ultimately, you want them to be in the middle, and then everyone coming
Yeah,
from
be surrounding
everyone
them.
different angles, right? And they're like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Monkey.
Nenner Winston, Brett goes in, all pulse.
I killed him. What a retard.
Well, you literally went here, bro. That's annoying.
Yeah, fair enough.
But actually, a really good spot for you to be is up here, simply because you can have this. But if your Pharaoh's feeding you the information, it shouldn't matter, right?
Yeah.
1, pushing.
Enemy Kira.
I got pulse, I got ammo. Sorry.
I need heal.
Actually, I have a wall.
That one.
Messi one.
Currently beating up the pussy.
Back, res.
Stop landing.
You can't
We won.
Sorry,
You
main
monkey.
synergist. Main synergist, sorry. What do they have?
They got McCray and Bap out close to Bap.
Alright, we're gonna
Almost.
both tanks dive. Like pretty much same time
Who's off
as
track?
as usual, and we're gonna look for a barrage mid fight, okay? Let's focus the backfield and McCree.
Can I stop lagging?
This is better now.
Get his
I
barrage
think
mid,
you
okay?
setting up on this side is fine as well, right?
I have barrage. What?
Yeah.
Can we scout? Where are they going? We need scout. Brett has no
I'm
vision.
looking, I'm looking. They walk in main, I think.
They go main. They go main.
Main.
Yeah, they got segment.
Yeah,
That's
Sigma
Sigma.
now.
I'm walking, I'm pushing in 3, 2,
This is going for
1.
main now.
I go back!
You guys see Sigma? You guys see Sigma? You guys see Sigma?
Yeah, I'm on him.
I think
Wait,
McCree's
wait,
put him
wait,
in.
McCree, there's McCree's fucking me on the right.
I'm doing high ground.
Chris, how you?
McCree, no.
There's a McCree high ground.
One thing that you rarely utilize on ball is you don't often look to dislocate people with boop, right? And this is one of those maps where it's really good. I mean, I guess this is a specific situation, but when you first execute this dive, rather than coming this way, would it have not been better to come in from behind them? Simply because, well, 2 reasons, right? One, they're not looking at you. 2, when you swing, you're going to boop. So you put them more into open space, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you can engage from
yeah.
behind them, it's kind of like the thing, right? So for instance, on the high ground of city center, no, it's gardens. If you roll up at speed through from underneath, through the stairs, right? If you boop someone and then slam them when they land on point, they're gonna die because they're gonna be the only person on point.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
I go back!
You guys see Sigma? You guys see Sigma? You guys see Sigma?
Yeah, I'm on him.
I think
Wait,
McCree's put him in.
there's McCree's fucking me on the right.
I'm doing high ground.
Chris, how you?
The McCree was pretty scary.
High ground.
McCree's one a point, please. McCree's one.
Can't kill these ones, please.
Oh my god, he's won!
And some of these
Pushing Mercy.
some of the roll through boops are really worth knowing simply because you can be mobile the whole time.
Yeah. I've worked on it.
Yeah.
Something I'm
You do
working on.
just want to be able to go around circles.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm just
Lighting point.
There was
Is my break winnable?
It's still winnable, it's still winnable, it's still winnable.
Still winnable.
I landed someone.
Call a target. Mines and then call a target.
I can't.
Game mine's point.
I can't.
Again, engaging from in front of them, right?
Yeah.
Whereas you could have, after this Farah, you just kind of chill. I mean, you're stalling the point here, right?
Lighting point.
Is my break winnable?
So you just want to chill, wait for more people to be here. You can just stall this as long as you want, right? Play outside the LOS and then go off point. The second someone else is there, you go off point, you get mega, you come in from the flank, and then you engage into.
Yeah.
Mining him.
Down in the crate, right? I'm on that bitch, I'm in that bitch. McCree one. He's still one.
I got bunker.
Fucking immortality, man.
Pushing on.
I got back.
Where's the fire?
He's on top of you.
Grab ours.
Going on McCree.
I see him.
McCree's up.
McCree one.
Fucking me in the ass.
McCree does. They're missing 3. They can bro. They have no McCree.
I can't.
Focus Rissa one.
Rissa one. Hugo heals.
Focus Rissa, it's still Rissa.
Rissa.
Nice. Mercy.
Okay, so we're gonna win this, right?
Signal. He's really.
Yeah, I believe we do.
Kill Sigma point.
It's gonna take
Just really long.
way too long, but
Yeah,
this would have been a
stupid.
massive. Okay,
Aim.
it would have been a hard end if we'd lost that.
Not fucking calling targets mid-fight.
Okay. Anyway,
Nellie's just bad. Oh, jeez.
so what did you write down? And then I'll see if there's anything I want to add.
From the top?
No. Aside from the arrest, like just from Bull. So after being more decisive.
Make sure I'm the one calling the dive.
Yeah, so comment.
Be urgent. Follow up progress of info where you just call info first, scouting,
Urgency
then you
when,
target, then you dive it, obviously.
when needed. I mean, it's really important that it's when needed, right? Like, when you don't need to be urgent, when it's
Yeah.
just info, don't make it urgent.
Obviously, yeah.
Scouting, I guess, was what you were kind of getting at, right? With the
Yeah.
one after that. Anything else?
we can make pre-made setups to give us space
Yeah, so
know where we can go.
Yeah.
Give us more general space where
try
we
to
can play.
flesh out your setups, right?
Mhm.
Flesh out your setups.
And be aware of more boob spots and know to go behind more often. Don't engage from the front. There you go.
Engage from the flank more often. In brackets allows you to boop them in for easier engages. I'd love to share some VODs with you, but I can't. Because we've got
That's
quite
fine.
good at ball. We're playing him all the time, right?
Mhm.
Okay. We still got another 15 minutes, so I don't know if like anyone else in the team wants to come in and talk about anything, or whether you want to have a look at another map.
We'll go another map, I think, because I'm not sure anyone else is going to show up.
Okay. I can ping them, give them the opportunity, or not. Up to you. You've got me. You're in charge, man.
I'll just go another map because they'll get mad at me if I don't use my time best.
Okay, that's fine. Well, I don't know. I'm just like really focused this morning, so we kind of just got through a lot. We've got a lot of points there for one map, right?
I'm happy. I'm really happy with that because I needed it for Hammond especially.
I mean, especially like it would be worth you practicing. Like, just this is gonna sound like the dumbest thing, but just go in quick play and never shoot at anyone. Just like roll around,
yeah,
right? Practice being mobile. Find all the weird, wacky like rollouts, because I think part of the thing is, you just want to be mobile all the time. And if you're just like rolling through them, coming back around, rolling through from another angle, coming around, rolling through another angle, and then coming back and going this way, right? Like essentially, you want to have like some higgledy-piggledy like rolling thing where you end up like constantly rolling through the opponents, constantly coming from other angles, getting megas, then coming back through them again, right? Like your job is to disrupt the opponent team, right? And make it as hard for them as possible to like set up or be where they want to be, right? And hence, if you're constantly rolling around, constantly coming from different angles and booping them, you're going to be getting a lot of value. Whereas a lot of the time, you're you're just engaging, right? You're not doing anything other than engaging. So I guess looking more frequently for, I'm going to put this in as well, looking more frequently for disruption, right, rather than engages, than just engages, because that's essentially what you're there for, right? You're there to disrupt the opponent team, not just to engage onto targets.
So disruption would be more mid-fight and less...
yes, yeah. So you want to engage,
because
and it is all mid-fight.
You want to engage. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Cool.
Okay, did you want to look at the other VOD that you sent?
Yeah, we'll go through that. That's more Orisa, but
I mean, that's...
it's sort of...
I'm sure we'll find something to talk about.
It's the thing I play the most at the moment, so...
Yeah.
I ought to go through it.
Did you want to look at King's Row? Or
just go... Oh, that's hard.
what was after King's?
Because King's Row is a bit scuffed halfway through.
Oh, and then
just
it's
go through
Dorado.
Dorado, yeah.
Okay.
Just go through Dorado. Because the second half of King's Row is scuffed because we swapped around our subs because the enemy team lost one. It was scuffed.
No one should... What?
They know we're here, they know. Look.
Nah, it doesn't matter if they know we're here.
Yeah, they were on the far right.
Suck them early.
Oh, they know chat.
I'm gonna take an aggressive...
There's a hunter back right with McCree, they're playing...
So, straight away, you guys are playing way too scared. Right, the second you know what composition they're playing, which your Pharah should be telling you straight away, you should know whether you need to walk forwards or not, right? But you're...
Yeah.
This comes about poke, right?
Oh.
And arguably getting picks with your Hanso.
I'm not playing.
So angles are everything. If If it's just your Pharah up here and the rest of you are stood in this tiny little room, you're really limiting the opportunities you have, right?
Angles.
Yeah, and
Yeah, okay.
exactly, right? So having one person here is great, but then you could have someone out towards car or whatever, right? Just going out on this angle. And that way you got someone here, and someone here. You got your concave, you've got 3 angles. You just control a lot more space that way and can create opportunities much easier.
They don't have a
So I'd probably just be playing on cart basically, right, if I was you.
Get this way.
Watch out, why? There's a McCree behind you, not even
Because you really want to be supporting your Pharah here, right?
Yeah.
And now we're really fucked, right? Because this guy just got around here. So we haven't controlled this.
Kills.
Hanzo's gone far away. Can we rush
Cracking,
Hanzo?
Oh, we can push him. Okay, I'm just gonna. Wait, Hunter's left?
Hunter fully left.
What the fuck?
Hunter, one.
And this is one of the issues with playing like this, right? Is that you don't control all the angles.
I get out.
Yeah.
Orisa shield.
So they just get free rotation around us.
They get free rotations. They take control of everything, and they've just pushing the cart this far makes a really big difference for you actually. I mean, I'll go back. Like here, right? The cart's here. You can shoot this way, and you can control this space of the map, right? The second they've moved the cart literally this far, suddenly it's all out of your LOS, right? So it's really important that you keep the cart here because you want to be able to control this rotation as well.
I get out.
Cranking Orisa shield.
I don't.
Alright, and let's fight quick. And down cut.
Just take it slow down. Winnable though. Get sick.
One dead.
I'm probably gonna die.
Immort. Okay, keep going. That's fine.
Should probably just look to kill this Zen here.
We should go double sniper.
Okay, I'll go Widow.
Not that it matters, but the only thing you could have killed there was the Zen, right? So
Just look to kill him.
yeah,
I do that.
just go ham on him. Try and kill him.
Yeah.
Bottom right. Like, Widow, you come with me, bottom right, and the Hunter
Yeah,
can
yeah,
go top.
yeah.
Kill the Widow.
Just keep Mally by yourself at the moment.
Yeah, I'm kind of.
The Sigma's top right. The Sigma's top right behind us. The Sigma's the Hunter's top right. We can probably suck him.
Hunter one, suck him off. He's literally one.
Goes ass. I'm back.
Can you suck top right above shield?
Just for fucking my ass, dude.
That suck was a bit optimistic.
Sucked.
It's pretty much there.
Yeah.
It did. It wasn't ideal. Yeah.
Can we play? Can we stabilize? Like, bro, thank you. Also, quickly.
They're back
What are
square.
they?
They're back square. That's it.
We should square them now. Square suck. Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm doing
I
it.
need heals. Yeah, Widow needs heals behind.
Okay.
They have emo. This is gonna
I got
be
the emo.
nice.
Keep going. Sig now. Kill Sig.
Widow left.
You guys see this Zen on the left?
Zen. Yeah.
Zen is alone on left, yeah.
It's half.
But he's not alone on right.
Back nice. Oh, nice. We can push up on the Sigma. Look at him by himself. The Sigma's by himself.
Widow's
Sigma
behind.
one, back one.
Oh my god.
Can we come back?
I can't.
No, kill back.
Alright, what are they at?
They're gonna have sights.
We can stuck Sigma corner.
Okay. These are pretty good fights.
Jasper actually.
The only thing I'd say is that, well, actually no. I mean, you've already got your Hanzo controlling top left, haven't you? So
Put a shield.
kind of very little difference I'd make here.
Nah, he's here.
Yeah, I was Zen's here.
Can you suck now? On the Orisa.
Yo, come.
Uh,
Yeah, I was Zen's here.
would have been nice if you given a cooldown on this suck, right?
No, yeah.
Can you suck now? On the Orisa.
I guess you can see it, but
Can you guys look at the bad back?
Generally, when he asks for it, I generally just go for
you
the
just
suck,
do it.
because
Yeah.
he's expecting it.
Mhm.
The Sigma thanking you.
But I could probably just say sucking.
Can we suck him off? We kill this guy.
Off brand.
Just because, yeah.
Shut up.
I mean, that's
Really
exactly
silent
because
myself.
it'll just give everyone else a chance to be aiming already.
Fucking off-brand arrow. Fucking
It's
off-brand
kind of weird because I usually call my sucks a lot. I know, weird. Maybe I'm just not calling them this map.
Okay, we're gonna field Sigma Rossi. Let's look for a suck dragon. Use Bongo.
Can we field now?
Can we seal
Need to
now?
make sure I'm more reliable on that.
Look out,
I'll feed. Oh, wait.
Yo,
Widow on left, Cam.
I'm dragging
I
cut.
got us.
Can you get out of the dragon bread?
Oh shit. Jessic.
What was our plan here, ult-wise?
Look
I'll
out.
feed. Oh, wait.
I don't know if he actually made one
Oh, okay.
because the fight never ended.
Have. Did it? It definitely is ended now.
We got Bongo.
I thought it was an Evo.
Fucking off-brand.
But your Widow's dead.
Oh, that's what happened.
Dragon corner.
They have Sigma, they have Bongo, they have Field.
Okay.
Regardless,
We're gonna field.
I'd be bongoing if I was you when they're trying to cross this, right? The second they peek around this, so the second they've like committed around the corner, just bongo them. Exactly the same as you've used the window, right?
Suck dragon, use bongo.
Field now, field now.
But we're just kind of giving them all the space for free now, right?
I'll feed out. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Widow on left, Cam.
We wanted to suck dragon first, I think. Did we have field or something? Or these? Oh, I think he just had field the dragon.
Break your ball.
I got a Hanzo.
I'm spamming them. Hurry.
I'm probably gonna die. Oh.
That was a really bad bongo.
The bad bongo, yeah.
SMG fucking master over here, dude. Come at me.
Just die. Go on, everyone go.
I mean, late fight bongos are typically bad. Simply because more damage means more poke means you want to play slower, right? So the earlier it is in the fight, the more value you're going to get from the bongo. Because the more damage it's amped, right?
They got
Self a
bongo
second.
sights. Do we get good spawns?
No, we don't.
I think everybody except for like red.
So we should have been more proactive as a team. You should have been more proactive with your ultimates.
Yeah.
Widow left. Or like
And we're gonna
stick.
look for a window ourselves.
I'm in a
Okay.
Okay, you're fine. I wanted to get.
The Hanzo's playing. Okay, the Hanzo's playing like left to us.
Easy,
Oh.
I did so.
Sonar left door. The Widow's just main. Hanzo
But
bottom
let's
left.
take a more aggressive positioning. I don't like being this far back.
I can't push up right now though.
We can still window without me. It's- I'm
Sigma
just window.
behind. Like on the right.
Yeah, Hanzo one.
It's got a single
Still window, we should win this.
I'm forcing Sig, force Sig.
Yeah,
I sonar main.
Oh.
Sig low.
The Widow's just main. Widow's main right now.
Okay.
I can't hold.
High ground.
Widow's
Fred,
1 HP.
Fall back, Fred. Fall back.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Come back, Shiny. When I have supports, come back.
This is really
Positioning. I don't like being this
Yeah,
far back.
I can't push up right now though.
We can still window without me. I'm
Sigma
just window.
behind. Like on the right.
Yeah, Hanzo one.
It's got a single
Still window, we should win this.
I'm forcing Sig, force Sig.
Yeah,
I sonar main.
We get really split.
The Widow's just main. Widow's main right now.
Okay.
I can't hold.
High ground.
Widow's
yeah.
1
I would advise. This is the kind of thing that where a macro VOD would be really good, right? Because you really want to go back through and figure out
All the way back, please.
Yeah.
your
We should be able to get some this week though.
Down
So it
point,
should
down
be good.
point, down point. Go forward.
Yeah, I don't know whether Equinox plans on buying more or what.
I don't know what the
Hey,
thing
we
is.
can come out with trance if you really feel like
Hanzo
it.
one.
But I know that Clownfish still seems to have hours with me on,
Yeah,
Gamer
I
Sensei.
think he does.
We got a flanker
Um,
behind.
yes.
but I don't know if he's just like waiting to use them or whether he thought I was crap so he couldn't be bothered to use them. I don't know.
We didn't think you were crap. I'll tell you
That's
that.
You guys see that thing about top left?
Baptiste top right, Baptiste top right.
Oh my god, come.
I'm glad you'd be the
Most
first.
of the time, the reason why we didn't end up getting reviews from you is just because we didn't have VODs.
Oh, okay, I see.
Top right.
Because it's hard to get a VOD recorder.
Oh, on that
And-
note, right? Like what I was saying in your chat, you can just record your gameplay, record your replay. Sorry, from overhead,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, and yeah, okay, we can't talk about the communication, but it's still something, right? And I think in
Yeah,
general,
so
you
it's
guys like, since we had that VOD review like a billion years ago where we talked about comms, your comms are generally pretty good, right? Like, you guys could probably identify the issues with that yourself without me saying anything.
Yeah.
But I think, sorry, just for this,
Can
just
agree
for
with
what
that.
we're watching here, right?
Husky's close.
This retake is not clean enough at all, right? You need to know. Just like I said, like if you go over macro VOD and like, okay, when the carts like right this last bit, we're gonna recontest like this, right? We're gonna some people are gonna path here, some people are gonna path here, whatever, right? And actually flesh out how you're gonna make this retake happen, because it's really messy.
Yo, the Zen's inside.
Zen's behind you. Yeah.
The Hanzo.
There's a Hanzo top right behind us.
Zen one. Nice. Hanzo behind.
Nice.
Hanzo behind.
Yeah. Oh my god. he's in one.
That Orisa had a death wish.
Back one.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the Hanzo. Kill the bat.
Pushing.
I mean, you may have fleshed out this a little bit since last time you played this. I know it's been 4 days. Maybe you've reviewed it or something, but it does seem
I
like your
think
setup's a bit kind of like, oh yeah, we'll just set up like this rather than knowing what you're doing,
I
right?
think this scrim
We
was
can actually we can hold it. We can
was
hold
a
it
bit
so
messed
good.
up. The scrim was what made us decide to do it.
Yeah.
Because we just
Watch out.
we haven't been able to do a VOD review as such because we didn't realize we could do that. So we've just gone onto the maps and just gone, oh yeah, we should position here and here and here, basically.
I'm lifting you.
I'm gonna fall back.
Come here.
And we've done that with a couple of maps, including this one, I think.
This one's got some girth on it.
Come here. You good? I'm lifting you.
I'm gonna fall back.
Come here.
Bad drop again.
I saw that bottom left.
This one's got some girth on it.
I feel like this feels like you aren't given the information here, right? Because if you were looking at this on overhead, it would look like you're inting your shit off, right? Because everyone's walked
Yeah.
backwards. But I feel like you needed to be told to walk backwards here, so I'm not really sure this is your issue.
Here, I figured walk backwards, but Mally didn't say he dropped, so I thought he was still there with me,
Yeah, okay. See.
which is why I stayed there.
Well, and he uses his grasp, like, you watch... no, he doesn't.
I don't see him drop because of the dragon as well, which the clutter is like.
Yeah.
It seems
Well,
kind of dumb.
yeah.
I should have seen him drop.
Well,
I
but
just
you're
missed
not
it.
looking at, like, this tiny sliver of your screen where he dropped, right? You're looking at what
Yeah.
you're shooting at. I understand.
Got some gas on it? Oh, I'm dead.
I didn't realize you went fall off when you dropped back.
Fuck, I don't know what angles to find though.
But I'll be honest, yeah, like they're saying, I don't know what angles to take. I think that's kind of the issue here, is your setup is not really...
We have reviewed this map since.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, ball that.
We got 2.
This specific time we kind of. Oh,
Because your first point was actually really good, right? Like, I think you guys do know
yeah.
how to play this. I mean, your
We know
Orisa
what-
looks pretty
first,
clean, I'll be honest.
First point is a bit of a no-brainer how to play
Yeah.
most of the time. Oh, I remember the defense of this. The attack. Yeah.
I'll get this corner and then just crank them. Okay.
They got Bongo.
Can I have a shoot up here, Mally?
No, I have none.
Would have thrown it in the back, you see?
Can you
I guess one piece of advice, I guess, on first point, when you come for that recontest, it's probably better to go Mei Hanzo than it is Widow, because Widow's not as good. And
Yeah.
Mei transitions better to second point.
Yeah.
And as well, if you don't go for this like last fight, then you can hold their spawn with Mei. Which is
Oh yeah.
really OP, and people do it all the time, and they burn a shitload of time doing it.
suck this
It can take like 3
Wait, on
minutes.
this point.
Yeah. People hold this spawn room all the time.
Whoa. Okay.
Essentially, rather than taking the fight that you did on the cart there, they just wait, and then the opponents have to push through this choke, right? Which is really hard. And then when you win that fight, they've got 2 doors and a really far away one that's through this choke to come out of, right? And you guys just sit here and hold their spawn.
That's just like kind of bullying,
It is.
but it's a legit.
It's not as bad as Route 66 second phase, where people push you back to gas station, and then they sit on gas station and you're stuck in the spawn room on route.
Oh my god, that's stupid.
Yeah, it's not nice.
Would've
Avoid
half
that
in
one.
the back.
Because it's almost impossible to get out of the spawn on route.
Suck dragon.
No, red.
Don't worry about it,
Chill. I got second 5.
I'm gonna field next.
And it feels bad as an attacker to be stuck in your spawn.
Whatever.
I'm stuck
Hold,
second
hold,
main,
build,
second
hold.
main.
No. On the tank.
See this Orisa to our left, you guys see this Orisa on the left?
Swim together. Chill. Sig now,
Oh,
sig.
I'm dead, I jumped.
Play around it. Kill back
It's
piece.
last fight, it's the only last fight, we can transfer.
Push up. Widow's above us. I'm going for
The
it.
Widow is top left, I shielded her.
Sig on cart.
Zen's main. Okay, Widow above still as well.
Yeah, come on, I can maybe get it.
We need to kill him one person at a time.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Where's the hills though?
We sort of went 3 targets at once.
Not really sure there's much you could have done differently there.
Oh no.
We kind of all split targets there.
Yeah. Yes, no, that's accurate.
Wasn't great. Target.
Yeah, especially when the okay. Yeah, you probably want to walk out with your Sigma first, right? Sig first, because he can walk out with Shift.
Yeah.
Just for future reference. Your Sig probably wants to be in front of you
that's
kind of
sick.
all the time, actually. Like, whenever you're peeking anywhere, whenever you're transitioning from one location to another, right, Sig always wants to be the one in front. In fact, in general, the off-tank wants to be the person in front, because they have the utility to make it happen.
Yeah, damage mitigation.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Is there... Okay, do we want to... Was there anything you wanted to, like, write down from that point? Most of it was macro stuff.
Yeah, not really.
I don't think there was really that
Kinda-
much to talk about what you did. Generally, I think you guys played it pretty well, and other than the fact that they finished the map, right? But like
Yeah.
you say, if you fleshed out your strategy a bit more, it's gonna be much
We'll
better.
be stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have since, so we're a bit stronger on that map now.
Okay. I'll end the recording there so that you can flame your teammates to me.